Good morning. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about Don Lemon. Don Lemon at CNN is really getting blasted pretty badly today in this story in Variety. Basically, they are claiming that Don Lemon is a terrible person who did these terrible things to his coworkers. And I have kind of a theory on some of this. What's funny is, first off, I'm going to say this. When you talk about Don Lemon, I'm not a big fan of Don Lemon, to be honest with you. I don't like the guy. I've been on his show a few times. He doesn't like me very much. In fact, he had me on his show one time where I felt like he was trying to ambush me a little bit. And I remember he bashed me pretty bad on the Tom Joyner morning show. But ironically, though, I guess he must have my phone number in his phone because TJ Holmes, the guy from ABC, who actually is an interesting topic to bring up in this conversation. TJ Holmes, I remember when TJ called me once and I said, how did you get my number? And he said, Don Lemon gave it to me. Right. And I thought that was really interesting because I was like, I didn't know Don even kept my number around. But either way, though, the interesting thing about Don is I'm going to start off. I had to be honest and start off by saying I'm not a big fan of Don Lemon. I'm just not. However, I am a fan of the truth, and I'm a bigger fan of the truth. And my commitment to the truth leads me to see what's going on with Don Lemon and kind of have some perspectives on it. Now, as I get started, could you do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button? Thumbs up, share, subscribe. I need your help in rigging the YouTube algorithm so that they'll help our channel grow. So hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell to notify when we go live. This is the home for intelligent Black people, and you don't have to be Black to be here. We don't hate anybody, but we do actually favor Black intelligence. So here's where my day kind of began. I rolled out of bed with my beautiful wife, and I decided to kind of talk about this topic with Don Lemon because it kind of struck a chord a little bit. I read this report on Insider, and I'm going to read some of this to you and kind of give you the backdrop on some of this in terms of what's going on with Don right now. Now, first off, I want to ask you, how many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you feel like Don Lemon kind of gets on your nerves? Give me a yes if Don gets on your nerves. Give me a no if you like the guy, right? Give me a yes if he kind of annoys you a little bit. I'm gonna be a yes guy in this category because he's kind of, I feel like he's kind of taunted the Black community for a long time. I feel like he also is a little bit too much in bed with the Democratic Party to the detriment of Black people. I don't think he represents a whole lot of progress, to be honest with you. But here's the thing. It's really ironic because I end up having to confess that I think he's a good journalist. I think he's a devoted journalist. And my Lord, this man has been on CNN every single day, day in, day out for over 20 years. I'm sure Roland Martin would love to have his job. And he's good at it, I guess, in terms of doing what he's supposed to do. Well, here's the deal. According to Variety, actually, this is an insider, but they're reporting on a story in Variety. They says CNN staffers are divided after a bombshell report accuses Don Lemon of misogyny. Misogyny. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. It's always funny when the liberal mafia decides to accuse a gay man of misogyny, right? Like you thought you were in a protected class, now you become the oppressor apparently. And they said insiders say it's another shit show for network executive Chris Lighty, Licht. I don't know how to pronounce it. Light. I don't know. They said that they're responding to a Variety article that says Don Lemon has engaged in misogyny and other problematic behavior. The story has insiders theorizing about whether the star will survive the accusations. Lemon co-anchors from CNN's morning show. He co-anchors the CNN morning show, which is a big bet by parent company Warner Brothers Discovery. This show has not done very well. It has not done well in the ratings, and it's probably going to be another loser for CNN, unfortunately, that's really had a hard time for the last decade or so. CNN is defending Don Lemon after a bombshell report by Variety about the network star, while insiders are speculating about his ability to survive the latest blow. According to the Variety article, Lemon sent anonymous threatening text in 2008 to Kyra Phillips, who was his co-anchor at the time on the weekday show Live From, after she got a reporting role in Iraq that he reportedly wanted for himself. The article also alleged Lemon tore up pictures and notes on top of and inside Phillips' desk in their shared news pod while she was away. Okay, so they're saying that he sent these threatening texts to this woman, Kyra Phillips. I don't know who Kyra Phillips is. So let me tell you who I thought Kyra Phillips was, but I could be wrong on this. I had a picture of Don in a co-host. Now I don't know if that's Kyra Phillips or not. I'm gonna try to let me see. I'm gonna try to Google it. Don Lemon, Kyra Phillips, and see if there are pictures of these two together. I don't know if that's the same lady, to be honest with you. So maybe y'all can help me out with that. Let me see. I'm going to pull up what came up on Google when I did a search for Kyra Phillips. I guess I should have prepared a picture in advance, but y'all know me. I didn't do my homework in school, so I'm not going to do my homework in the podcast sometimes. So here is the image that comes up when I search Don Lemon and Kyra Phillips. This is what comes up here. Maybe I should just put her name in by itself. Let me try just popping her name in and seeing what that looks like. All right, so this is Kyra Phillips, and this is obviously a white woman, and I don't know, what that means one way or the other, but that's just what it is, right? Okay, so in general, what you're seeing here is kind of something that happens a lot on the job, right? You see, what this reminded me of are similar scenarios I've seen in other situations where a black man is just accused of something, and I was looking for evidence. I was like, okay, well, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? And there is no proof. There is no proof. How about that? They said, here's what they said. They said a CNN spokesperson told Insider the Variety story provides no actual proof and instead relies on anonymous sources and unsubstantiated claims from 10 to 15 years ago. CNN is unable to corroborate the alleged accounts. Lemon shared a statement, and he says the story, which is riddled with patently false anecdotes and no concrete evidence, is entirely based on unsourced, unsubstantiated 15-year-old anonymous gossip. It's amazing and disappointing that Variety would be so reckless. Variety also reported that Lemon made disrespectful comments about female colleagues over the years. The publication didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. The story has insiders theorizing about whether the anchor will survive the accusations. One person with knowledge of Lemon's thinking said he is apoplectic about the report and consulted attorneys about a possible lawsuit against Variety. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Y'all know I have a doctorate, but I really don't even know. I'm smart enough to be okay admitting that I don't know what the hell the word apoplectic means. So let's get smart for a minute. Let's make each other more intelligent. This is the platform for intelligent Black people. So all of us right now are going to learn the definition of the word apoplectic. It's spelled APOPLECTIC. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Okay, so apoplectic basically means overcome with anger, extremely indignant. So he's pissed off. They could have just said pissed off because I know what that means, but apoplectic. Has anybody ever heard that word used ever by another human being? I don't. That's crazy. And apoplexy is a rupture. Oh, that's a whole medical term. It's a rupture of an internal organ and the accompanying symptoms. Okay, so that's they used. I guess the term formerly referred to what is now called a stroke. So if someone ever says that you have apoplexy, they're not saying you're angry. They're saying that you had a stroke. Hopefully that'll never happen to you. Apoplectic means you're just pissed off. All right, got it? All right, now we're smart. Okay, here we go. What the hell, man? Apoplectic. Can't you just say he's mad? Okay, so people be trying to sound smart, whatever. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so CNN This Morning, which Lemon hosts with Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins, was launched in November, part of a bet by CNN parent Warner Brothers Discovery to remake the cable news network. CNN This Morning has averaged 359,000 viewers in the first quarter, which is terrible. Or when the HLN simulcast has included 438,000 viewers. That's way behind Fox News. They have Fox and Friends and MSNBC's Morning Joe. The allegations reported by Variety touch on past behavior, but come after Lemon was pulled off the air for 2 days in February and called out as sexist by CNN chief Chris Light. Oh, wow. So the CNN chief allegedly called him sexist, but I don't know if he actually said it. I have no idea. Lemon has suggested on CNN This Morning that Nikki Haley was not a viable presidential candidate because she isn't in her prime. His remarks upset his co-host, and he was ordered to undergo training Guys, I just love it when they do that. When they send you for like reprogramming, like whenever you say something that's like off script, they're like, we're gonna send you for retraining. We want to teach you how to be a how to fit in again, right? It sounds like brainwashing to me, but whatever. Okay, so let me see. Nikki Haley, apparently, I'm sure Nikki Haley, I know Nikki Haley's a white woman. I just don't remember exactly which white woman. She's the governor of South Carolina, and and I guess Don Lemon felt like she was past her prime or something, and he made this comment. And I agree. I mean, it's kind of like, come on, man. I mean, you talk about past your prime. I mean, if anybody's past their prime, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are way past their prime. I mean, these two dudes, my Lord Jesus. So I can understand that. I can get that, right? I can get that this comment was not cool. Was it sexist? Probably. You could make that argument, I guess. But then again, white females are so sensitive on the job that they tend to sort of get pissed off about everything. Now, what's fascinating to me is that while they can certainly quickly call a man sexist for making comments, angry comments toward a woman, they really don't call that all the many, 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 many times that white females have made comments critical of men or critical of black men, right? Like, they would, and I think that it's interesting that there are certain people that are protected in a protected class, particularly white females, where they can criticize anybody. You've seen people, even people that were connected to those running for office, high-ranking officials in the Biden administration or whatever, literally call out men as a collective or say black men this, black men that. Like they'll usually get a black woman that they hire. Biden, he hired that one lady, that big linebacker looking lady, Simone Sanders. I called her a linebacker because she really did tackle somebody on behalf of Uncle Joe. She did that. I kid you not. She literally, anybody remember Simone Sanders? How many of y'all remember Simone Sanders? Simone Sanders is, oh Lord Jesus, that's a big old lady. I would not want to run into her in a dark alley. And Simone Sanders literally, when somebody came after her Big Daddy Joe, this lady like tackled this person, and you would have thought that she was trying out for the New York Giants. Like I kid you, this lady literally was out tackling people on behalf of Joe Biden. And so anyway, Simone Sanders, I remember Simone came and made some interesting comments about black men because they were very frustrated that black men aren't, many of us don't go for the whole like vote blue no matter who nonsense. We don't vote for somebody like, so a lot of us have an issue voting for a guy who spent his entire life trying to put us in prison. We don't vote for our enemies. I can't do that. I'm sorry. So there's Simone Sanders right there looking all tough and stout. She's a fine young man. Fine young man. Anyway, but anyway, I remember Simone Sanders used to run around and say horrible things about black men. She used to say really mean stuff about black men that was just crazy. And the thing is, if she were a man saying these things about women, then it would have been a whole different ballgame. A lot of people would have been outraged. They would have said, oh, you're a sexist. You're this, and this. But because she is in that protected class, she's a gay woman, she's able to run around and say all kinds of stuff about whoever, and it's okay, right? So I think that this is interesting, though. But what's funny about Don is that Don is also kind of in a protected class because he's not a straight man. So it's fascinating that he's sort of getting the black male treatment. Let me show you all I'm going to show you examples to prove my point here in terms of the pattern that you want to kind of understand. This is understanding racism. It's also understanding economic oppression, right? And the fact that many of these institutions are run by people who don't look like you. This is why I consistently have told you guys, you got to start your own businesses. You have to have your own institutions, because you keep running around begging white folks for opportunities, you're always going to be in second place. You're always going to get abused. You're always going to get unfair treatment. They're never going to treat you the same as they treat each other. That's the honest to God truth. So anyway, let me show you something. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, I do have a new book. It's a bestseller on Amazon. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. My PhD's in finance. I use my whole PhD to come up with 10 simple rules that any black family can follow to put yourself economically ahead of white people, Asian people, Jewish people, everybody else within one generation. I guarantee you this will work because this is what I know. This is what I do. And I've been teaching college students for almost 30 years now. And my wife has been teaching college students for about almost 20 years. So ultimately we put our foot in this book, and I guarantee you it's going to change your life. So go to Amazon and feel free to grab a copy. And also, I'll be in Houston this upcoming in about 2 weeks on the 21st of April doing a 2-day Black Wealth boot camp. So if you want to meet up with me in Houston, just go to boycewatkins.com and the link is there to join us. Just look for the Black Wealth boot camp schedule and you can join us there. All right, so let me show you something. Let me ask you. So I want y'all to tell me who's this in this picture. I'm gonna put up a picture and I want you to tell me the name of the person. Let's play Name That Negro. No, not this one. Y'all know who this guy is. All right. So who is this guy? Can somebody tell me who this guy is right here? Put his name in the chat. All right. So let's see who's gonna win the game. Name that Negro. Let's see here. Anybody know who that guy is? That is not Mike Epps, Drew. See, you being funny. You're trying to be a comedian. That was funny. That is Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka is the former head coach of the Boston Celtics. I think he's former. I think they fired him. Anyway, that lady over there is the nice white lady that was offering him lots and lots of vagina on the job. And apparently they got busted. And Ime apparently he's a player, and the women all liked him, and the women are all hitting on him and trying to get a piece of that big black chocolate. You know, black men, we delicious. Everybody wants us. And they reported this story about him as if he was some sort of sexual predator. They talked about him like you would have thought he busted in that lady's office and just took it. Like you really would have thought like that he really did some old Jack the Ripper stuff with these women and went in there and just took some stuff that didn't belong to him and got away with it and needs to be locked up in prison immediately. And what's crazy is that the whole world, the media, the NBA, and all those people, they reacted without even knowing any of the facts. They knew nothing about who hit on who made the first move. You know, they didn't look to see, well, was she sending him some text messages saying, hey, you know what, my man can't really get the job done. I need a new plumber immediately. Like they didn't check any of that. They just made the assumption that this black man must have been the predator, right? And so what happens then is that, you know, in general, and again, I'm not defending Ime's behavior. I mean, Ime had a beautiful fiance, you know, Nia Long, and I know that there's a discussion about whether or not he's a good man, whether or not he cheated or whatever, and that's a legitimate conversation. But honestly, I'm gonna tell you all the truth. Ladies, you marry an NBA player. Ime was an NBA player, and he's a wealthy coach that's traveling all over the country. You probably don't want to do that. If you want to get a faithful husband and you go marry an NBA player, I think you might be living in the fantasy world. Most NBA players I know, you know, they have lots and lots of temptation. Let's just say that. But that's really not something for us to judge, because I would hate for any of us to have to be judged on what we do in the bedroom. Seriously, I mean, really, would any of y'all? So half y'all probably super freaks. Come on now. Let's be honest. Half y'all probably got stuff going on in the bedroom that you don't never want nobody else to know about. So how would you feel if you were being judged by what you chose to do in the bedroom? I don't think that's anybody's right. But here's the thing. Once the media labeled Ime a certain way, it was over. It was a wrap. It's a wrap. This brother done. No more jobs for you, brother. No more no more coaching opportunities for you. No more teams going to hire you. The Warriors, oh, they got an opening. No, they're not good. No, the Knicks, the Knicks need a good coach. They had a winning team for decades, it seems like. So they are never. Ime was one of the best coaches in the NBA. Let's be clear. Ime was one of the best in the NBA. But because he got down with Becky, he ain't never gonna have no job no more. I hope he saved up money. I hope he's got plenty in his 401k. I hope he's got a side hustle, because Ime is not going to make money as a head coach in the NBA. And why is that? Well, because there were women on the job that wanted to sleep with him, and he accepted their proposals. I doubt if any of those women are going to be blackballed from their profession because of their participation in this mutual activity. I'm not done yet, though. I'm not done. And what I'm really talking about is just the experience of black men on the job. And this is why I don't work for anybody. You know, like I don't hate white folks. I really don't. You know, it's like when I talk pro-black and all this other stuff, a lot of people get nervous. They think I have an issue with white people. I'm not mad at white people. I'm never going to get mad at white people for being white. But I do understand environments where I am loved versus environments where I am simply tolerated. I know what it's like to be in a space where you're going to treat yourself fairly, but you're going to treat me unfairly. I know what it feels like to go and get judged in a way that is purely based on the fact that you have not, as a society, dealt with all of the inherent racial bias that still exists within your DNA. I don't want to go into, it's like a football team. The football team doesn't want to play on the opposing team's field and with their referees and their fans in the stands. Like, that's not what you want. I don't want to play an away game. I want to play a home game with my referees on my field with my fans supporting me. You come to my stadium, I'm not coming to yours. So one of the things that I learned when I was working for other folks, and y'all know what I'm talking about, and I'm not making, this is not anti-white. I don't dislike white people. I have plenty of white friends, and they're very nice people. I know that sounds weird, right? But I do. But at the end of the day, man, you got to understand the bias that exists here. A black man can go to a job and just be accused of being a bad person with no evidence, no nothing, and lose his job and get blackballed for life. And I don't see that happening a whole lot to white women. Don Lemon, again, it's awkward because it's weird that I'm defending Don Lemon because I don't even like this dude. Oh, that's TJ Holmes. I'm sorry. That's another one. We'll talk about him in a minute. But Don Lemon, I don't even like this guy, but I can see through the BS. It's crazy. It's like, come on now. You're really putting out a report. Variety, a nationally known publication that obviously does shoddy journalism, wrote a full-fledged, in-depth expose. We're going to expose his behavior. We're going to expose him. You're exposing what? You ain't never, ever, never, 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 no, never, not never, not ever, ever, never, never, no, never, ever done an expose with unproven allegations against a white woman. You wouldn't say, or she yelled at a man in 2008. She screamed at him because she was mad, but that makes her a sexist. They don't do that to white women. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you, I hope somebody agrees with me. They don't do that to white women. I can't think of a single time where somebody just wrote a report saying that a white woman was a bad person. Let's keep going. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And this podcast is on Spotify, by the way. If you go to Spotify and look up the Dr. Boyce breakdown, you can find it there. Also, if you want to stay in touch, in case YouTube ever bans me for being too Black, just text the word Boyce to 31996. And I'll send you text alerts periodically when we go live, stuff like that. That's my goal. My goal is to have a different conversation. And fortunately, we're almost at 1 billion views across the platform. So we were able to do this independently. And I'm super proud of that because I think Black people have to have our own media. And that's why I left my position at Syracuse University. And this is what I've dedicated my life to, is teaching my own people, because I really think that we have to be smarter than our opposition. We have to be more prepared than the adversary. We have to outthink racism. If you don't outthink racism, then racism will dominate you for the rest of your life. So feel free to text the word Boyce to 31996, and also boycewatkins.com is my website. Let me show you Exhibit B. Here's another exhibit. Who's this guy? Anybody know who this guy is? Who's that? Somebody put his name in the chat. That is Mr. TJ Holmes. TJ Holmes is an incredibly talented journalist who will probably never, ever work again for a national media outlet for the rest of his life. At least not one as big as Good Morning America. You might find TJ, serving Whoppers at your local Burger King now. You might find TJ teaching a journalism class at an HBCU in a couple of years. TJ Holmes, again, got caught in the web. He apparently had a co-host who likes the chocolate. Everybody wants a piece of the chocolate, because we just so delicious like that. And then next thing you know, all these exposés come out, all these reports come out that he's a bad person because he's sleeping with women. My Lord Jesus, he's sleeping with women. Now Don didn't have his sex life on display because, well, I'm sure whatever dudes he's sleeping with, they're not going to talk about that because that would be homophobic to talk about that. But with TJ Holmes having the curse of being a heterosexual Black male, he's automatically seen as a predator because that nice lady next to him, was going to his apartment late at night asking, "Where's the beef?" She was looking for the beef, and he said, "The beef is in my bedroom," and he served her plenty of beef. And now TJ Holmes is working at Home Depot. Anyway, in all seriousness, I'm reading a report here. I Googled his name just to see what TJ's up to. Now, I'm going to tell you, I like TJ a lot. I do. I think he's so talented. He's so smart. This brother, I talked to him one time on the phone. He called me on the phone. And the reason he called me was because Don Lemon had given him my number. I did not know Don Lemon even had my number because I didn't think Don Lemon liked me very much. But maybe that he doesn't like me. He just had my number. And so he called me because I had done a commentary. I'd written an article about BET and how BET was this company that claims to define Black culture, but unfortunately their goal has historically been to ruin Black culture as much as possible. Their objective with BET is to put out as much racist propaganda about Black people that it guarantees that your son will be shot by the police, that he will be convicted by every white jury, that he's going to remain as ignorant as possible, that he will be addicted to drugs by the age of 21, and that he's going to throw away all of his Black wealth, and that he's going to end up disrespecting his women as much as possible, right? So BET, thank you, Greg Kelly. BET, unfortunately, has turned into trash. It did not have to be that way. And TJ was working at BET at the time, so he was kind of doing a double agent thing. Sometimes I get calls from double agents, and TJ was a double agent that day. And let me tell you why. It was years ago, so I don't think TJ minds me sharing this story. So TJ called me, and he was telling me that he was at BET. He worked at BET, and he said, I went to a meeting, and we were talking about what you said in your article. And he said, I could not believe how accurate you were in what you said. I swear to God, this really happened. And he said, I could not believe that what you said was it was almost like you were in the meeting with us. And I said, that's because I understand what racism looks like, even if it's coming from a Black person. I understand oppression because I spent my whole life running away from it. I understand our community because I see us a day late, $1 short, ignorant as hell, getting our ass kicked, constantly being defeated, constantly ended up in the victim box. And a lot of that is because of networks like BET. No disrespect to the people that work there that want to do the right thing, but many of them quit because they realize that you can't beat the machine. Right? Because Black oppression is extremely profitable. It is very profitable to keep Black people in a box, to keep us in our place, to keep us looking like victims, to keep us ignorant, right? There's a lot of money being made by destroying you. I explained yesterday. I did a podcast about it yesterday. Go back and listen to yesterday. I was explaining to you how in America, you're not designed to be the beneficiaries of this country. You are a commodity in this country. You are like, you're like, it's like there's a big feast happening, and at the dinner they're serving chicken, and you were invited to the feast, but you thought you were coming to the feast to eat, when actually you are the chicken. You're the KFC chicken who's invited over for dinner. Nobody invites a chicken over for dinner and expects the chicken to sit down and enjoy a big delicious plate of chicken. Right? The chicken is there because they're going to cook that damn thing and eat it. So you're the KFC chicken. You're the commodity in America. People make trillions of dollars off of destroying you. They make the public school systems, they make billions of dollars not educating your kids. To pretend to educate your kids. There's media that makes a ton of money. Marketing, whether it's jabs, like telling you, go get the jab. Or marketing like unhealthy food to you that's going to give you diabetes, strokes, and heart attacks by the time you're 42 years old. When you go to universities that put you in student loan debt, big white universities that you love to brag that you got accepted into. Mama, I got accepted into such and such university. I'm not against college. I taught on college campuses for many years, but all that student loan debt that's keeping you from making moves in your life, that's keeping you from being able to leave an inheritance to your family, well, that's part of the system too. That's part of the game too. So anyway, when TJ and I talked, I like the guy. I only talked to him one time, but I said, I appreciate what you're doing, and I like the fact that you're working from the inside. They'll never let me in, but they'll let you in. So you keep doing your thing. So I like TJ, I do. And I'm reading up on TJ's whereabouts right now. And I was joking that he's working at Home Depot. He's not. He's too smart for that. But here's what Yahoo says. This was written 22 hours ago. They said a lot was said about the alleged workplace affair between TJ Holmes and Amy Robach, and reports continue to fly in regarding the fallout. Many of the reports have focused squarely on the two former anchors, blah, 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 blah. So Marilee Thiebaig, an attorney, tied the knot with TJ Holmes at a ceremony held in Memphis back in 2010. Okay, now they're talking about his wife and how he cheated on his wife. Okay. This probably shouldn't be at all shocking. They said, let's see, I'm looking here. I want to see what he's doing now. Like, let's see here. They said that his wife was disappointing him because, okay, of course, right? Let's see. Amy finalized her divorce. Let's see here. I'm reading. What else? What is TJ doing? They didn't say nothing about a new job. I'm looking to see. I'm thinking, did he get another job? No, he doesn't. I don't think he gets it. I don't think he's. There's no talk about a new job for TJ, and this is kind of crazy, right? And this is and the reason I talk about these stories is because a lot of y'all have sons. You know, a lot of you have sons that are, trying to go get these fancy jobs. He went to Georgetown University, and now he's going to go, get a job at a law firm or whatever. And I just have to be the guy to say, you got to be real careful because the odds are stacked against you from the day you walk in the door. It's just a fact. You can't do what white people do. And the biggest trap they pull you into is the trap of racial equity and the illusion of assimilation. Right? This illusion makes you believe that you can go to work and you can do what the white boys do and that you're going to be okay, or you can do what the white women do and you're going to be all right. And I don't think I just don't think that's true. I think that when your son comes in there, and because we got a son who is absolute and who's built, if he wanted to be a stud, he could be an absolute stud. He just ain't got the stud attitude yet. I'm trying to let him know, like, man, you got something going on. This dude is 6'8", handsome as hell. I'm his bonus dad. He's got a dad, that I respect, and I'm happy to raise children with this guy. He's a great guy, great co-parent, and so me and his dad raised him together. He's 6'8", smart as a whip, has two really attractive parents. And everywhere we go, you see all the girls looking up at him and smiling, like looking up, because they got to look up because he's 6'8", and they always ask him, "Do you play basketball?" He's like, "No, I'm an engineer." Right, which for some people that's even more, makes him even more attractive. And I warned him. I just said, "Man," I said, "you're gonna get so much attention. See, you don't have the blessing that I had. I had the blessing of being average. My blessing was when I was just broke, when I was a short little broke guy in college." I didn't have women chasing me down and throwing stuff at me everywhere I went. That happened later when I became rich and famous and stuff. Then suddenly I became more handsome when I had more money, right? That's what money kind of does to y'all ladies. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But before, I was just a regular college student, 5'8". I didn't, so I didn't have a whole lot of swag. I didn't have any money. I drove a hoopty. I had a dream, though. I had a dream. I was a good student, but unfortunately, good students are not as popular as thugged out rappers with 18 babies mamas with a blunt in his mouth and a liquor bottle on the other hand. Like that apparently is appealing for some young girls because they didn't have a daddy to teach them that these men are going to get you pregnant, give you STDs, and then abandon you. But whatever, I didn't care because I met my wife in the library and she's the most beautiful woman in the world. But with him, I said, dude, you got to be careful. I said, they will. Malcolm X used to say that the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then he'll lock you up for being drunk. He said he will sell you the liquor bottle and then lock you up for being drunk. So they will give you the thing that you want. They will tempt you and tease you and say, hey, here's candy. You want some candy? And you'll say, yeah, I want some candy. And then you'll go eat the candy. And then they'll say, you ate that candy. You're a bad person. You're fired. You're going to hell. You're going to die. You're going to jail. You're like, but you told me to eat the candy. I never told you to eat the candy. You made the unethical decision to eat the candy because you're an unethical person. That's what they do to a lot of these young black men. When I look at Ime Udoka, I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry. The only way I would see him as a bad person is if I was Nia Long. If I was Nia Long, yeah, I'd be a little pissed. Like, man, come on. You're supposed to be my fiance. You out here, digging into all these Beckys and stuff. And that's just making our whole family look crazy, right? So that ability to have discipline for any man in a position of power is extremely important. But then again, I don't have any right to judge him, in my opinion, because all he did was do what human beings have been doing since the beginning of time, which is to engage in the act of procreation. But here's let me give you another exhibit. Who's this guy? Somebody tell me who this is in this picture. Who is in that picture? Put his name in the chat as you hit the thumbs up button. As you hit the thumbs up button, tell me who is in that picture right there. Who's that guy? Does somebody tell me? That is Mr. Terrell Owens. And let me tell you about Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens This was the most confusing thing I ever saw in my life. When I was still understanding racial consciousness and trying to figure out what was going on in America in terms of race and all that, it took me a long time to figure out some of these games they played. I couldn't understand for the life of me why Terrell Owens was on national TV apologizing. They love to see black men apologizing. They love to see black men on their knees because it just reminds them, like, okay, we're the dominant ones. We're going to put you in your place. And Terrell Owens was on there apologizing, looking down like a little boy. He was a proud black man, real proud, real strong, like toughest guy on the field. But on this particular day, he was meek and he was like sort of almost like he was about to cry. And I was like, why is he apologizing? I was like, what did he do? What did he do wrong? And I was like, did he commit a crime? Like, did he go to jail? Did he beat up his wife? Like, what did he do? And the answer was nothing. Like, this dude literally, I mean, all that happened was that there was like a report that he was a bad person, that he was mean, that he wasn't like other people. And I said, so he's apologizing and he doesn't even really know what he's apologizing for. And this is the kind of thing that really gets to me. This is what bothers me. This makes me mad. This really makes me mad. I'm sitting there looking at this man. I mean, he's a strong, on the field, he's one of the baddest dudes out here. He's got all this confidence. He's the man on the field. But then on that particular day, I saw a big, strong man reduced to a sad little boy. And it really got to me because it reminded me of another thing Malcolm X, his bodyguard, talked about that. He said that black men, he said, I liked hanging around Malcolm because around Malcolm, I got to be a man. He said, because in America, they want you to stay a little boy. And I say also they want you to be a little girl or they want you to be a clown. That's why in America, the three groups of people, the three groups of black men that tend to do the best are black men who are either immature and juvenile, like rappers. A lot of the rappers are very immature. Like I saw the Migos doing a Sprite commercial where they were on big wheels. Like literally, why would you be riding a big wheel when you're 30 years old? That doesn't make any sense. And then, when you are a little girl, that the feminine black man, right? So people like Billy Porter are going to do extremely well. That feminization of the black male, we know that that's real. And then, or clowns, comedians make more money than most doctors, lawyers, and school teachers, right? So if you go to Hollywood and you're a black man that makes people laugh, then they love you, right? And so when I saw that, I remember just thinking, this is crazy to me that they got this guy apologizing and he didn't even do anything wrong. But that's the problem, right? When your son goes into those spaces and your son has these visions and dreams of being accepted by these white-owned institutions that still haven't worked out their racism, your son is in danger of something happening where suddenly out of nowhere a storm develops and he starts getting labeled as a bad person. Next thing you know, everything he's worked for is gone. And this is why I believe to the core of my soul that every black man in America, every black child in America should learn how to start their own business. You don't have institutions, but yet you've been trained to beg to get access to other people's institutions. You brag about getting into the big white university, but nobody talks about making black universities great. You beg to get accepted by the big white corporation, but the only a small minority of us are thinking about how to build those corporations so we can employ our own people. You beg to get on these white-owned media outlets, but the idea of truly developing strong black-owned media that represents the interests of the black community is kind of a secondary thought. You beg to get a chance to play in these sports leagues, but nobody talks about how we used to own an entire sports league. We owned an entire black version of NASCAR. We owned a black version of the NBA. We owned a black version of Major League Baseball. We owned the entire league at one point. Nobody talks about owning a league. Everybody's talking about getting connected to a team. And then when you get in that team, when you get in that space, when you get that little slither of a crumb of a bullshit opportunity that they offer you, you're like, Lord, thank you, Jesus. Oh my God, I made it, y'all. I made it. Who said you made it? Nobody said you. The only people that said you made it are the people that you have determined to be your economic gods. The white man becomes your god because effectively he gets to decide which Negroes make it and which ones don't, which black men go to the top and which ones stay at the bottom, which black people get the access to power and which black people get marginalized. So when you thank God and you say, thank you, God, I finally made it, what you're really doing, honestly, is you in your white supremacist framework are thanking the white man for being the God that allowed you to have access to a certain type of power that you never thought you could actually build yourself. Why is that? Well, think about this, right? When white folks loved TJ Holmes, he was one of the allegedly most successful black people in America. He had a job at Good Morning America. Lord Jesus. I mean, there's no better job in journalism than this one. But when he lost favor, now he's gone. Now he's going to be, representing the French fry section at the local Burger King or something. I don't know. I'm kidding. He'll probably be teaching a journalism class at an HBCU or something. But he's kind of been disgraced. Did he do anything really wrong? I mean, no. If he's a criminal, then she's a criminal. If he's a bad guy, then she's a bad guy, right? If he's a predator, then she's a predator. Right? Who else? Let's look at some other people. Let's look at some more exhibits here. Anybody know this guy? Who's this brother? Know this name? Who's that? Y'all ain't seen him for a minute, but I like him. I like him. I support him. Tavis Smiley. I never met Tavis, but I know a lot of people that know him, and he knows me, and we know each other, and I just want Tavis to know I support him. Anybody remember what happened with Tavis? Tavis had a nice little show on PBS. He was interviewing lots of famous white people and stuff, and he was interviewing some black people too. But, a lot of white people were coming on his show, and PBS loved him until the reports came out that he was engaged in the horrific act of actually having consensual heterosexual sex with women that wanted to sleep with him. So because he slept with women, he suddenly became vilified. And then next thing you know, PBS took his show, took him off the air, and you haven't seen Tavis since. Tavis needs to be put on a milk carton, and we need to file a missing persons report because that Negro been gone for 2 or 3 years now. And this is because the economic god, meaning white folks, decided that this Negro doesn't deserve to be important anymore. So they pick other people and make them important. Exhibit D or something. Maybe this is E. I have no idea. Who's that guy? Who's that guy right there? Y'all know this guy? Anybody know that guy? Put that name. Put his name in the chat. Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors, hottest actor in all of Hollywood for a while. Jonathan Majors was, out here getting it. He was on the cover of Ebony magazine, looking like stud of the year. Ripped, muscle bound. He was in the movie Creed that made $250 million. He was the star of Ant-Man, for God's sake. My Lord Jesus, that's not a big deal. I don't know what is. I mean, there's no higher pinnacle in Hollywood you can go to than to star in a freaking Marvel movie. I mean, this movie, The Avengers, the next Avengers movie in 2026 is called The Dynasty of Kang. He's Kang. The last Avengers movie made $2.7 billion. This next one's going to crack $3 billion. So he is literally the face and the name of a $3 billion franchise. It's not a $3 billion franchise in the sense of the value of the franchise, but this next movie is going to make $3 billion. Well, now all that's in question because he got into a little situation with a girlfriend, and now outlets like Variety, the same one that smeared Don Lemon, are writing terrible stories about him. And it's not so much a matter of having a lot of concrete evidence about what kind of person he is. It's like this innuendo. Well, we talked to somebody who said that he's a bad person. We talked to somebody from Yale, a professor from Yale, who said that he's always been a mean guy. Right. And again, look at the pattern. Notice the pattern. It comes down to this interesting self-righteous judgment of the ethics of these black men. Terrell Owens, he didn't commit a crime or anything. He don't have any evidence that he did anything wrong, but we just think he's a bad person. Ime Udoka, he slept with women, and that's just creepy. He's a creepy person, right? He's almost kind of like a rapist, right? Because he's a creepy guy. Jonathan Majors, we don't know exactly what happened, but then we know his girlfriend sent the text message where she's basically apologizing, dropping charges, and saying that it was her fault. But still, we heard somebody that said that he's just not a good person, and so we're gonna just go ahead and take him down. Anybody know who this person is? Who's that guy right there? Somebody put his name in the chat. Anybody know who this person is? Who's that? Does anybody know the story behind him? Now, what I'm pointing to are the consistent themes here in terms of black men getting prominent positions in a white space, and then suddenly the media turns against them, and suddenly they start mislabeling them, right? Nate Parker. Nate Parker had a great movie coming out. His movie was the hottest movie in Hollywood. Everybody was bidding like crazy to get access to that movie about Nat Turner. Well, you know what? A Birth of a Nation. That's what the movie was called. Well, Nate Parker, unfortunately, got labeled as a bad guy. There was a white girl who he slept with consensually back in college who allegedly accused him of it not being consensual. Again, there's no proof, no evidence. So because she was so upset that she did whatever she did and they did whatever they did, she eventually killed herself a few years later, and they blamed it on him. Of course, blame the black guy. That's what you do, right? And so effectively, Nate Parker's movie dropped in value. It was supposed to be a huge success. It ended up flopping. Now, here's the thing. I want you to be careful, though. I don't want you to interpret what I'm saying as sort of a bitch fest. I'm not sitting here walking around claiming and getting upset about how black men are victimized and all this other stuff. It's not fair. But here you got to understand how I was raised by a great man by the name of Larry Watkins, who taught me a long time ago that life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. So I never walked into a space like that expecting to be treated like a white man. I can't walk in a white man's house and think I'm going to be treated like I'm the man of the house. In his house, he's the man of the house. I learned a long time ago as a black man that if you want to be the man of the house, you better learn how to go build a house. If you want to be a king, you better learn how to build a castle, because no man's ever going to bring you into his castle and make you the king. That is not going to happen. That is an illusion. That is a fairy tale. That is a lie. That is a myth. That is not true. And your son needs to understand that. So when I see what happened with these guys, when I see what happened with poor Tavis, when I see what happened with TJ Holmes, when I see what happened with Nate Parker, when I see what happened with Jonathan Majors, when I see what happened with Ime Udoka, when I see what happened with Terrell Owens, I don't feel bad for these guys. I mean, I'm not saying I'm happy about it. I just look at it and I say, yep, I knew that's what they do. Yep, that's exactly what happens. Yep, that's why I don't want that job. That's why I'm glad I didn't get hired. That's why I'm gonna stay over here. I'm gonna stay over here. You know, remember, I was a kind of a mainstream guy. You know, I was the only black man on the planet to get a PhD in finance in 2002. Y'all understand that's a pretty big deal. Like I was kind of like the Terrell Owens of finance at that time. Like I was kind of dunking on people in terms of my skill set. Like I was the man, like in finance. Like I was smarter than most of my professors when I finished my PhD. So I was a bad boy. So let's not get it twisted. I could have gone to Wall Street and made $10-20 million a year. I could have gone into academia and fought my way up the ladder and got opportunities at different universities and all this other stuff. All that was available to me as long as I learned how to color inside the lines, as long as I learned how to behave and stay in my place and do what I'm supposed to do. But unfortunately, that was never in my DNA. And in fact, there was a black Harvard professor. What was that guy's name? What was his name? Oh, gosh. There was a hold on. I gotta find it. What was the brother's name? He was a black Harvard professor. What was this guy? Here we go. That's his name. Roland Fryer. Oh Lord, man. Let me tell you about Roland Fryer. I'm gonna tell you. I promise you. I gotta tell you this last story, and then I'm gonna let y'all go because I know we all got stuff to do. If you could do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And I want to remind everybody that I do have a new book out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's an Amazon bestseller. And I hope you'll consider either getting a copy for yourself. And then if you have it like that, I'd like these ideas to be shared with the community. So if you could get extra copies for people that you love, give them out as gifts. I'd really appreciate that support. And also, I guarantee you're going to love the book. It's getting like almost 5-star reviews all the way across the board. So I know you're going to like it. Also, I'll be in Houston April 21st for a 2-day Black Wealth Boot Camp. And we're going to literally do deep dives on generational wealth, getting off the corporate plantation. You'll talk to me directly. We'll be in a small group setting, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com. We also have financial flashcards and workbooks for kids. So feel free to go to my website. Let me show you this example. This is a guy that I respect him a lot because he's super smart. His name's Roland Fryer. He's a little younger than me, but he's a lot like me. His PhD wasn't in finance. His PhD was in economics. But economics is kind of the sibling to finance, right? So similar to where I was when I was younger, he was a young black hotshot who was really good at what he did. So, and the difference between me and him is that he's less of an asshole than me. So white people really liked him. Like white people really took him in and embraced him. He was writing these research papers, co-authoring these research papers with some of the biggest, most interesting white people in America, in the world, and it was really working for him. So he goes to Harvard. I kid you not. This is my story. These are those like come to Jesus moments that you have in your life where you say, "Woo, Lord, they whooped that boy over there." So he goes to Harvard, right? And he fits. He really does what he's supposed to do. He wins the John Bates Clark Medal, which is kind of like the Nobel Prize for young people. That's what he like. So he's on track to win the Nobel Prize. That's what I'm saying. So this brother goes to Harvard and he really fits in. He marries a white woman. I think she's a mathematical biologist right there on campus. They gave him this massive salary. He gets tenure really early. He has this multi-million-dollar research lab. He's in. He's in. And you're like, wow. So they really do let some black people in the door. Good for him. So I'm sitting there watching as an outsider. You know, I'm just Mr. Marginalized. I've had my own business for a lot of years. I kind of just do my own thing. But he's less of an asshole than I am. So I understand why white people don't like me. If I were white, I would have fired me too. But anyway, so check this out. Here's what's interesting. So Roland Fryer gets caught up in a situation where apparently they did to him exactly what happened with Terrell Owens, Don Lemon, TJ Holmes. He starts getting it in. Some of these women in the lab, he's having some interactions with these women that are inappropriate. Maybe some of it involves some sex. Some of it involved him disciplining somebody or something. And when you're black and you discipline white people, they pretty much accuse you of being an abuser and a predator and a mean person, just like with Don Lemon. The report was like you were yelling at her. That makes you a misogynist. No, yelling at somebody doesn't make you a misogynist. It just means you might be mad that day. When white women yell at men, we don't say you hate men because you're yelling at a man. We just say, you were mad, right? But anyway, so this brother goes and then they put the hammer down on him pretty hard. They did not fire him. He had tenure, so I don't think they fired him. But I think they took away his lab for a while. They treated him kind of like a predator. They told him he couldn't come on campus for a while. He couldn't go into his own lab. He couldn't have contact with certain people. I don't know all the details. So some of the details I may have wrong, but look it up. His name is Roland Fryer. And when I saw that, I was like, yep, that's what happened. And the thing was, it's not to say that he was a good guy or that he didn't do anything. The problem is that there's sort of this lack of due process when it comes to black men being accused of things. That's my point. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me know if you know what I'm talking about here. There's this lack of due process where it's like, oh, well, a bunch of white people said this black man is a terrible person, so we're just going to run with it as if it's true. And I've had some of that happen with me. When I was at Syracuse, Bill O'Reilly did a whole long show. He did an entire show about this terrible black man at Syracuse, and that I'm just a quack, and that I'm an idiot, and that I'm this, and that I'm that. And here's the thing. Again, lack of due process. So they didn't ask me to defend myself. They didn't ask me, what my perspective was. They didn't ask me to explain anything I said. All they would do was show images of me talking, wearing all black, looking really mean. And so they were leaning on this preconception of the black man as this evil, scary predator as leverage to allow them to make their point without actually having to make their point. Another example where this happened, where the white media did what white folks do, is when I mentioned that I have an issue with record labels using Lizzo to promote obesity in the black community when so many black people are dying from obesity. And I said, I don't understand. In COVID, in the pandemic, you're telling black people, we care about you. We want you to be healthy. But what was the number one factor that was killing black people during the pandemic? Well, it was obesity. If you were obese and you had high blood pressure and diabetes and all that, you were more likely to die from the virus. So I was like, why are you on one hand claiming that you want to protect black people from the things that harm us? You're telling us Black Lives Matter. At the same time, you're promoting the thing that's killing us. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? It didn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense to me. And it's very logical. And so I said, Lizzo's super talented. She's a beautiful young lady. How come she can't do what white women do? How come she can't just go up on stage and sing? Why does she, in order to keep her record deal with you, have to go and portray every mammy stereotype known to man, every Jezebel stereotype, every sapphire stereotype that's been used to constrain and control the black woman, present her as a whore, make her look ridiculous, put her out here as a clown? Why can't she just get out there and sing? Adele, her big ass, when Adele was big, Adele could bring her big ass out there, sing for 2-3 hours and make $10 million and everything was cool. Lizzo got to be twerking with a liquor bottle in one hand, holding a penis in the other hand, trying to play the flute and twerking at the same. Who the hell does that? Who the hell? Now, I'm going to tell you, my wife is a sexy black woman and she can play the flute. And you know what? If she was to twerk while playing the flute, she would probably look damn good doing it. But guess what? If she was ever to twerk and play the flute, she would only be doing that with her husband. My wife would not be doing that on stage. So at the end of the day, what I took issue with is I said, some of y'all are so busy celebrating the fact that a Negro got a record deal that you're not thinking about how these degrading images are impacting your family and your children and your daughters and everything else, and how it's impacting the way people view black women around the world. They view you as a pack of hoes who memorize Cardi B lyrics and want to live that crazy wild lifestyle, when some of y'all ain't about that life at all. So ultimately, here's the thing. I made this comment in a more protective sense, in a supportive sense, but here's what the white media did. Again, in the tradition of all these examples I just laid out before, they literally ran with it. Magazines like Variety ran with the narrative that this sexist, predatory black man is attacking a black woman. He's attacking Lizzo. I said, no, I ain't attacking Lizzo. I'm defending Lizzo. I'm attacking your raggedy racist ass for the way you're portraying black people. It's between me and you. You're trying to make this black on black crime when no, this is a black man standing up against the white racist power structure. That's what this is. But you flip it into a black on black thing because you want to cause chaos and then hide your hand. And that's what structural racism does. It gets Negroes fighting each other left or I'm a Democrat, I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm Team Biden. And the next thing you know, you fighting with your own damn relatives over Democrat and Republican parties that don't care nothing about either one of you. Nothing about either one of you. How in the hell, what is wrong with you? Why in the world are you fighting your damn cousin, somebody who's been with you since the 80s, since the 90s, since you were a little kid? They've had your back in every situation imaginable, but somehow you can't talk to them now because they didn't get the jab like you, or because they voted for Trump and you can't stand the fact that they voted for Trump. Shut up. Stop it. Stop it. You're stupid right now. That's crazy. So here's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, man, when I see what's happening with these brothers, and I know we started talking about Don Lemon and all that. And again, I told you guys, I'm not a big fan of Don Lemon. I just am not. And I look at these other examples besides Lemon, and I just think Jonathan Majors and Ime Udoka and everything else. Every time I see a black man getting dragged in the media, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when I told my son that you probably never want to get a job working for white people. That's not a black man. That just looks like a man. That's Simone Sanders. We were talking about her earlier. She's one of Joe Biden's minions or something. It's one of those things where I just tell my son, look, as a black man, you probably want to work for yourself because they're not going to treat you fairly. You might lose everything when you don't even know what you did wrong. You literally are like, wait, I got fired, and you're telling me that I'm a terrible person. What did I do? I don't even know what I did. And I just think that that's fair. I think that that's unfair. I think it's wrong. And I really hope that you'll consider, at least give me some consideration on this. I hope you at least consider making sure that just as a mandatory step in his preparation for life, that your black son is taught to have his own business. He's taught to invest. He's taught to do things like buy real estate. He's taught to do things that will give him economic sovereignty, so that he won't feel like he has to go into a dangerous space in order for himself to make a living. Because a lot of these guys that I pointed to you who got literally just mutilated by the media, they were making really good money. They had really good jobs. They didn't deserve. I don't think. I really, honestly, I don't think any of these men deserve what happened to him. Like Roland Fryer, I felt like Harvard didn't give him, fair due process and fair justice. But you were playing with fire, and this is what happens. Terrell Owens, I don't remember anything that Terrell did wrong that led him to have to apologize. Tavis Smiley deserved to keep his show at PBS. I mean, it was a good show. Tavis is a great journalist. TJ Holmes did not deserve to get fired just because Amy Robach wanted a piece of the chocolate. Nate Parker did not deserve to have his movie destroyed. He worked hard on that movie, and that movie was damn good if anybody saw it. So I could just keep going down the list. None of these guys deserved it. But again, I told you, I was raised by a great man by the name of Larry Watkins. He wasn't my biological father, but he was the man that took over and raised me from the time I was 2. And he taught me very early, life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. And if you walk around in life constantly hoping that one day things are going to get fair or complaining about how unfair things are, you're just going to end up being stressed out and disappointed for your whole entire life. What you got to understand early, in my opinion, Black people, is that the game is rigged, but you got to make sure you choose which games you're going to play. I tend to play games that are rigged in my favor. So when I'm running the business, when I am the boss, guess who? The game's still rigged, but it's rigged in my favor. It's not rigged in his favor anymore. I'm no longer a victim of the decision that you make about my life. If you come in my space, you're going to be affected by the decisions that I make, period. You got to learn how to build a house. And it's just as easy for a Black man to start his own company as it is for him to spend his whole life stressed out, filling out job applications and begging for opportunities. Begging takes the same amount of energy as building. I think begging is harder. I think begging and being stressed out, begging and borrowing takes about the same amount of energy as building. So we got to have more builders in the community. We got to have more Black men that are starting their own entities, that are going out here doing their own thing economically, so you can at least have an exit plan on the day they decide that they don't want your Black butt around anymore. And that's just the reality of America. And I'm not apologizing for sharing it that way, because I think that it's important that we prepare our kids for the future instead of feeding them the myths that they're taught in school, that as long as you're well behaved, everything's going to be okay. I know many Black men and women too, who worked hard, did everything right, went to school, never broke the law, and things still didn't end up fair for them. So life ain't fair. Do you get it? We on the same page? Give me a yes if we're on the same page. All right, guys, I'm done talking. It was wonderful talking to you. I hope this conversation was helpful to you. I hope also you'll consider going to Amazon and taking a look at my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is a Black wealth training manual. That's why I designed it. It's a manual designed to put your family in a position where you're going to dominate the next several generations. Like, if you do these things, implement economic values into your culture, you're going to succeed. I'm going to be in Houston on April 21st for the Black Wealth Boot Camp. So I hope you'll join us in Houston. Or consider flying down. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, we have financial workbooks and flashcards for children. So if you want to get your kids prepared for the future, we worked with Black educators over several years to put together some really great financial workbooks for kids. I met a brother in Hawaii just yesterday who had his son there, and his son was studying our workbooks and flashcards. He just came up to me on the street, and his son literally understood finance better than most college students do. And his son was only 10 years old. So my belief is that rather than us being upset about how we're being treated or being mad that other people won't give us opportunities, I think it's best for us to take the reins, take control of our own future, and create our own opportunities. I get a lot of my inspiration actually from the Jewish community and how they built Hollywood to serve their interests when the world wasn't giving them what they deserved, right? So I personally think we can do the same thing, and I think that should be the mission for the next generation. So anyway, guys, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My website is boycewatkins.com. Feel free to visit that platform as well, and I hope you guys have a great day. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and I'll check back in with you again real soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, Triple 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.